let's go over this from beginning to end, and I want to lay out some rules that I follow when I practice, and that I think that you should definitely follow to, to make this really come alive. First of all, I think I told you 54 for the opening grave. I think I've changed my mind. I think I like 63. Actually, it comes from the Baroque period. I've done a lot of research on Baroque tempos, especially in Bach. And if we put the metronome at 63 per eighth note, let's try this. Now, very important. It is important that you don't have to play it at 63, but that seems to be the tempo I gravitate towards. Regardless of the tempo you choose, it must be absolutely strictly in time. So I would suggest counting in your head eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, those are all 30-second notes. So it's very important that you keep that pulse going. Don't try to put a lot of feeling into it, quote unquote feeling. Don't try to do a lot of that. It's grave. It's very can't even think of the word for it, but it's really serious music, so you need to really think of the beat here. And play these staccato. Don't play it legato. Da 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 da. Okay? Now, when you get to here, you don't have to play that in time. Don't worry about getting all the 9 notes in time. In fact, I like to do a ritardando there. I like to play it a little slower. So you can be out of time in this measure. And then when you get to measure 5, back into time. Da 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 da. One, two, three, four. Now when you get to this point here, this is also another place you don't have to be in time here. So don't think metronome here at all. It's more improvisatory. That's more of an improvisation. So basically from measures 1 through about 4.5 should be in tempo. About the second half of measure 4 can be out of tempo. You can ritardando a little bit there. Go right back into speed, your original speed in measure 5. Make sure it's the exact speed that you started with. You can use a little pedal. That's pedal. I like basically pedal on the harmonies there, and I don't use pedal here. No pedal, but when you come to here, I actually do use pedal on the last chord there to bind it with the next measure. So then measures 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or actually half of 10, or about a quarter of measure 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all in tempo, all strictly in tempo there. Then about the first couple beats of measure 10 in tempo, and then the rest can be very improvisatory. Okay, so don't worry about saying in tempo there, but in generally speaking, the grave should be strictly in time, and if you think da 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 da, those are the 30-second notes. So so it's very, very important that you think that. Many pianists just don't do this right. They play it out of time. They try to put too much feeling into it, and it ruins the seriousness or the grave feeling of it. Also, another thing, this 30-second note, technically, many pianists do this, and they let go of it because Beethoven doesn't write to hold the 30-second into that measure. I think it's better to hold it into the measure. So treat it like a grace note and hold it down like this. So, and then going into measure 3, I actually hold that note down. So if you don't hold it down, it sounds empty. If you do hold it down, it really adds to the harmony there. So don't be so concerned with being so literal there with the bass note. I would hold it into the next measure. Now let's go into the Allegro di molto e con brio. I would say when you're learning this, as much as possible, do not even think fast yet. Okay, I'm going to take it at 42 per whole note. 42 per measure here. No pedal. We can, in the finished product, we can't add a little pedal, but I'm going to play without any pedal whatsoever anywhere, so we can hear everything precisely with the fingers. Okay, let's stop at that point. Just a couple things here I want to go over with you. Make sure that the articulation is absolutely as clear and precise as possible. This is why you don't want to go fast. You want to thump, 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 thump. You want to make the staccatos as staccato as you possibly can. Now Beethoven writes staccato notes on the half notes here, so it's. So you don't want to hold those down. Don't try to play them legato. Bum, bum, bum. In fact, you can put accents on those. Staccatos were Beethoven's way of accenting. Also, going on into here. I actually play 4, 3, 2, 1. I take the F, the D, and the B with the left hand. Actually, it's easier that way. I mean, you can do it with the right hand, but the left hand is already there. Here, left hand, and then right hand. Again, left hand here, right hand, right there. It's not that hard to do the right hand, but I just like to take the left hand there. It's much easier, and it's actually funner to play that way. So now let's go on. Put the metronome on here again, and let's talk about this a little bit. Here in the beginning, I take the first notes under. Don't go over. See? So you're going to right hand takes these, and then your left hand will take the last one. Your right hand is already under your left hand. So don't do this. Remain under the hand. It's much easier. Most pianists, I think, do it the other way around, which is difficult that way. So left hand goes under, and then after this, then you can start going over. Then the right hand goes over the left here to go down. Make sure your sforzandos also hold the grace note. It doesn't say to do that, but it actually adds a harmony. Instead of don't do that, but go, actually hold the grace note down, and then let go when you play the E flat here. Hold the grace note, hold the grace note, so you have two notes. It sounds better than that. So don't let go. Actually, it doesn't say to do that, but it sounds better. Also, I actually hold the thumb here also to add to the harmony. Hold the thumb. If you don't, it takes away a little bit from the harmony. Make sure the articulation is absolutely precise in this section, and the trills, don't make a big deal about them. A lot of people get all stuck on the trills. It's simply da-da-da-dun, 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 dun. They're 30-second notes. So it's start on the note when you do those. On the note and on the beat for those. Okay, let's go on. I'm going to turn it back on 42 and Ritardando here. Now let's talk about this a little bit. Make sure, actually, good fingering here. 3, 4, 5. Don't use 5 or 4 here. Use 3 on the E flat, 3, 4 on the D flat, connect it, 4, and then 5. You want to connect the bass line. Also bring out the top. Bring out the E flat here. Bring out the top. Now most of these I use 2. So except 5, 1, 2, 1, 5, 1, 2, 1, 5. Except for most of them you can do 5, 1, 2, 1 in both hands. Except a few times it's different. And make sure that the staccatos, actually staccatos were Beethoven's way of writing accents. So they're not just staccato, but they're accented. So it's accent, 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 accent. So bump, bump. Really give those a lot of bump with your pinkies. Okay? Now let's go on. So we have back to our original tempo of about 63. Hold the bass note here. One and two and three and four and retardando. It's very important that you keep the beat in your head as you're playing here. Now let's go on 42. That's a return of the theme there. Let's talk about this section here, the development. Very important, very, very important that you're able to maintain a beat. I highly, highly suggest practicing like I am here with a metronome at a slow speed, but per whole note. And this forces you to think in large groups. You need to be able to go from here, beginning of the development, all the way to the return of the theme, all in one constant tempo. There should really be no tempo fluctuations in this part. Just a few things here that I'd like to go over. Of course, your crescendo here is forte. Now, I like to hold the bass note here. Hold the bass note. Hold the bass note. So hold that. You don't have to hold it for the entire measure, but I like to hold it for most of the measure. Bass note. Bass note. So you can hear it going from D to D flat to D. So you want to, I really like that line there. Also, I'm sure you were aware of this. 5-4, 5-4. Make sure you connect the top there. And then you have 5-4. So make sure you connect the tops there and you make the staccatos very clean and precise. All these slurs here, like that. Let me see. Fingering. I go 1-1. 1-1. 3-1. 3-1. 4-2. 3-5. 1-3. 1-3. 4-2. 5-3. So 1-1. 3-1. 3-1. 4-2. 5-3. 1-3. 1-3. 4-2. 5-3. Here, and then the trill. Just go da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. I use 3-3-4. 3-1 here. That's in slow motion, so yeah. It's more like a turn than it is a trill. And then we have actually I use 4 on the top note most of the time. I have 5 here in my edition. I use the Henley edition. It has 5, but I find that it's easier to use 4 actually. 4-2-1, 4-3-2-1, and then 4-4-3-2-1, 4-2-1. You can experiment with fingering there, but I like to use that. So now let's go on here. Put it on 42. Staccato right hand. Same principles before. Make sure that these are staccato. Have the feeling like it coming up, 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 and once again, like I said before, the staccatos are Beethoven's way of putting accents into the music. So don't try to make them legato. Don't try to make them connected in any way. They're really actually pretty strict staccatos. That's legato. Legato. Staccato is short, long, short, 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 short. And then we get here, so got a crescendo up to here. Then we're at piano again. grave again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3. Then we go back here, back to 42. And from here, make sure, just like the first time, that it's a good idea to hold the C there. Don't let it go. Like that. And then when you play, I like to hold the C there too. Sforzandos. Also, hold the thumb when you have the sforzando here. Hold the thumb, like that. And staccatos. Staccato, short, short, accent, 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 accent. Later on, but I think a good idea in the early stage when you're learning it slow is just to play it totally without pedal, be able to control everything with the fingers, be able to play perfectly with a metronome. Then once you have it at 42, then I would suggest going up to 48. Then after 48, go up to 54, and after 54, I like 63 for the polished, finished tempo of this piece. So eventually you'll work up to 63, hopefully. Here's 63 per whole note here. I'll just play it so you know what it sounds like. So that's what 63 sounds like. I like that speed. So when I perform this, or if I were to perform it, that would be my goal, my finished tempo. But in order to reach that point, you have to pay your dues, you have to play it slow, you have to work up to that point. So I like to work up in steps: 42, 48, 54, and then finally 63 if you can. 54 is sort of it's an Allegro, but it's not too bad. Actually, I would be happy if you could perform it at 54 per whole note. Here's what that sounds like. Actually, it's nice. Really sounds nice actually at that speed. I do a lot of my practice at sort of a speed that's not quite fast enough, maybe 80% or maybe 85% of my goal is a very good idea to do to practice to get to your goal.